The STEM Society.
What's going on, socialites? It's your boy Cole Jackson, and it's the end of the year. That means the lists are coming out. List. Everybody's got to do their list. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I did put out my most disappointing hip hop albums of 2024. That's on the channel now. Go check that out. I think you guys might like it. I wanted to do something else before I put out my top 10 albums. So this week, I'm going to put out my most overlooked albums of 2024. I'm going to give you guys 5 albums that were very overlooked this year. And you may have your own list. And if you do have your own list, let me know in the comments of albums you feel like were overlooked or people didn't give enough attention to. With everything that was going on with Kendrick and Drake, it was easy to get to look past a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's start this thing off with one of my favorite artists. He drops something good every year, Ransom. Ransom dropped an album called Lavish Misery. It came out March 8th, 2024. This album was overlooked because, well, he's an independent artist. Of course, when you think about it, independent artists never really get their opportunity to put their works up front. Like, anytime you open up the DSPs, it's always the bigger stars or the people who are under labels. One thing about Ransom is he's consistent, and he's put out great music every year. I remember when he put out Heavy as the Head. The Director's Cut series was just one of my favorite series from him. And No Rest for the Wicked. Those are like 3... Well, there's a series and then there's 2 other albums. Those are just some of my favorite things some of my favorite albums from Ransom. It's every year I feel like he deserves to be talked about when it comes to albums that are solid. He doesn't put out trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't put out garbage albums. And he's one of the best lyricists I've ever heard. He's just one of those lyricists, man, where you're gonna get something smart, witty. You're gonna get an entendre that goes over your head. I like the fact that he does those kinds of raps, which speaks more into why you should give this album a chance. The lyricism that people always ask for on social media, he's giving it to us. He is consistently giving us bars. And it don't sound overcomplicated, and it's just not like the boom bap type stuff. Like, he's giving you gritty rhymes. He's giving us gritty, like that, just that gritty Griselda type, early Griselda type hip hop. And I enjoy that. One of my favorite verses of the year comes from a song off of this album called Chain of Commands. It's the second verse. I know it's the second verse because I've listened to that verse a million times this year. Witty, smart. He takes the names of all of these different albums and tie them into one subject, which completely, to me, I don't know how he does it, but you have to be a rapper's rapper to be able to do that. And that's what I like about Ransom. He does those types of things in almost every album. He comes with the bars. Now, does he have witty hooks? No, he doesn't have witty hooks, but that's not what you're there for. You are there for the lyricism. You're there for the entendres. He's a rapper's rapper. A lot of y'all be asking for that, but you never want to take advantage of it or look it up or take a chance on this guy. Very great content in the albums. You should give him a chance. I also like the fact that he got Harry Fraud. Harry Fraud produced his whole album. Anybody who knows me knows that I like Harry Fraud. I just know that he can be hit or miss. The thing that's very consistent about him, though, is when he works with Ransom. Ransom tends to bring out the best out of Harry Fraud, and Harry Fraud don't bullshit when it comes to doing production for Ransom's albums. I love the fact that they get together and make great music. He's not so grandiose. He knows the type of beats. He knows the type of production that Ransom needs, and they go forward with it, and it just makes great music. This album should have been talked about more this year because it's got the production there. It's got the lyricism. It's not very long. I think it's 8 songs long. Everything you need to get a good listen, just to get your hip-hop fix. So if you're a person who likes the more of the underground sound, if you like the more of the old school Griselda sound, you should listen to this album. Lavish Misery gives you sharp bars, gives you great wordplay, and gives you entendres that you're looking for if you like that type of hip hop. All right, next on my list, Jason Martin, Chupacabra, came out June the 14th, 2024. This album was overlooked because it was early in the year and Jason Martin was trying to give you a West Coast sound. Nobody was vibing with the West Coast until the Kendrick battles happened. You argue with your mama. Nobody was fucking with the West, and Jason Martin was giving us a very West Coast sounding album with Chupacabra. It's worth listening to because he was trying to put people on what the West was on this year early. It does have a few songs here and there that goes back to late 90s, early 2000 West Coast hip hop, but that's because he actually brought in DJ Quick as a producer. DJ Quick is to the West Coast is what Q-Tip is to the East Coast. DJ Quick is one of the best minds in hip hop. DJ Quick is somebody who has touched a lot of albums that you guys probably will never know of. And I think it was smart to give DJ Quick his flowers and give him an opportunity to produce something now in 2024, because DJ Quick still got it. He still has that mind. He still knows what works for us like West Coast hip hop, and he did a phenomenal job on this album. Also, Jason Martin was tapped into what the West Coast was doing, and he wanted to give people more of an opportunity to know what people were talking about. This was super West Coast, from the slang to the production to the features. He had people like Jay Worthy on the album. He had the Whoops on here, Dom Kennedy, Ab Soul. This is like West Coast royalty. The Game was on here. He had West Coast royalty on this album, and he was trying to let niggas know the West is still popping. And I fucking love that album, bro. Chupacabra was very well made. A lot of people who showed up at the pop out was there on the album. Like, it was a lot going on. And I hate the fact that like this album got swept under the rug because everybody was like Gen X and Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, and Blue Lips and all this other shit, when Jason Martin was out here really trying to get y'all on the West Coast heavy, and y'all kind of passed by this album. The only knock on the album I do have is some of the songs can be a little crowded because there's so many features on here. It was a celebration of the West before the pop out, and I think more people should have went to this album to know more about what was happening in the West when he made this album. So this album is for you if you were liking what the West Coast was doing this year, if you was really vibing with all of that stuff. You need to go back and listen to this. It's a very authentic representation of what the West Coast was doing. I think Chupacabra was a smart concept, and I think he was really on to something before everything blew up. So go out and listen to Chupacabra. It's a very solid album. Larry June dropped the album this year called Doing It For Me. Came out August 9th, 2024. This album was overlooked because I think people got a little bit of Larry June fatigue. Yeah. He dropped 2 albums last year, 2 great albums. One fully produced by Alchemist, and then he put out a second one produced by Cardo. 2 of his biggest albums to date. This album's worth listening to because he took it back to basics. It went back to early Larry. Like, this album gave me more of the Orange Print or Numbers type vibe, which I love. And he had no features on this album too. I think that's great because his last 2 albums were very feature heavy. He was trying to get more of a mainstream audience with those last 2 albums, and I get it. But this right here, it just takes me back to just early Larry June. You got songs like Morning Calculations or Imported Couches, Meet Me in Napa. Like, those call back to I think about the album Numbers when I hear those types of songs. So that's what I like, man. He also went with producers like Jake One, Cardo was on here, and then he had Tico on here who he worked with before, and they worked so well with Larry. And I think he just wanted to just go back to like basic Larry June, just doing shit that I like to do, doing the type of music I like to do, and that's what drew me to this album. I don't think it got a lot of buzz because I feel like we were still just in the middle of the Kendrick Drake stuff, and I also feel like people was kind of like, people don't want to hear motivational rap, or people didn't want to hear just those types of anthems that Larry June does. I loved it. I thought it was a great album. It was solid. It deserved more attention. If you like early Larry June, or if you want to know what early Larry June sound like, this is one of the albums to get started on, and you can take this album and work your way back. I would definitely put this album with the Orange Print and Numbers as like that version of Larry June. But go back and listen to Doing It For Me. I promise you would enjoy that album. Another artist that I feel like needs more recognition and needs to be talked about, Coda the Friend. He dropped an album called Lyrics to Go Volume 5. It came out on January 25th, 2024. This album was overlooked because he is an independent artist. I'm gonna always champion that because you know what the DSPs do. He's also one of those artists that's not flashy, or he don't do the clout type music, any of that stuff. He is more about life. He's more about family. He's more about experiences, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy listening to his music. I've been a fan of his since he dropped the album Photo in 2019, and I completely enjoy that album. It is one of my favorite albums from him, and I just feel like he needs more recognition. He's from New York, for crying out loud. The guy can really rap. He just uses his raps for life experiences and just telling real stories. The album's worth listening to because it's a concept album where he named all the songs of cities that he went through during his tour, one of his bigger tours that he had. I actually remember when he was touring, Lyrics to Go was actually supposed to be an album that you got if you bought a ticket. It was exclusive through actually just buying it when you went to see his show, and he decided to release it on DSPs. But it was really chronicling like what he was seeing, how his experiences was going in all of these different cities, and what he was doing in those cities. And it really spoke to me because a lot of artists don't go that route. He talks about how he missed his kids or family or like everything that was happening on the road. It was chronicling that, and he does it very well. Like he can go. If he was one of those clout chasey type rappers, he would be out of here. But because of his content and because of the things that he talks about, I think a lot of times people look over him or they don't give him an opportunity. But I think Coda's one of the best rappers out here. I also respect the fact that he's got producers like Hit Boy, Static Selector, Exile. Those are some of the producers that actually produced this album, and I think they did a phenomenal job. It's just a great slice of life album, and he's a slice of life type rapper, if that makes any sense. Like, I just enjoy, I can't listen to like killing and drug dealing all the time. Like, my mind has to be clear and chill at sometimes, and people like Coda the Friend most definitely put me in that type of mood, and I love the type of vibe that he gives. So if you like shit that's not like overly complicated, or if you like when people talk about their real lives and what's really going on, what they see and shit like that, like when they talk about real shit, you'll most definitely love Coda the Friend. The album's called Lyrics to Go Volume 5. All right, my last album. And I think people might look at me crazy when I say this, but I got it. To me, it was overlooked and it didn't get enough attention. Big X The Plug, Take Care, came out October 11, 2024. It really wasn't overlooked. I think a lot of people talked about the album, but they didn't talk about it enough. I think this album was one of the best that came out this year. Big X was a part of the freshman class of this year, and he most definitely is one of the more brighter shining stars at that freshman class than some of the other people that was on that list. I love Big X The Plug. He's out of Texas, and he's just one of those rappers that I just relate to. I think he leans on the gimmick of doing flips on his albums because a lot of his shit be old school flips of songs that we know, but that don't take away from the content, and that don't take away from what he's rapping about. Now, Take Care is one of those albums that's worth listening to because he gets into how stressed out it is to be a artist. He gets stressed out about where he came from and where he is now. The bars aren't really complicated. He's not giving you like triple entendre shit, but the content and the shit that he's talking about is just dope as fuck. He's another independent artist that just started his own label called 600 Entertainment. He did another album earlier this year called Meet the Sixers with two of his label mates, Rosama and Young Hood. I thought that was phenomenal. I think I did a critique on that album earlier this year in the show. And I love Big X, bruh. When you got songs like Therapy Session or They Don't Know or songs of Story of X kind of telling us, chronicling what he's going through as an artist, it's crazy that people don't talk about him more. Yes, I know he's on the Prize Picks commercials. I know he got this like national thing now, but like I was excited when I seen that this album was coming out because Meet the Sixers was so good. And I just think out of the newer artists, the newer generation of artists, I feel like he should get a lot more. He should get a lot more shine than some of these other ones do. Like him, and I ain't gonna hold it. Boss Man D-Lo, I know he just dropped an album this weekend, but his album he dropped earlier this year, that shit was fire too. Those two niggas, man, I love them. But if you like non-traditional hip hop with more of a story, kind of really telling what they're going through, this is another rapper that you should check out, and this is another album you should check out. The album's called Take Care. Big X, I salute you, bro. You fire, bro. All right, that's it. I got nothing else. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the list of overlooked albums. Hopefully you found a gem that you would enjoy. What are your overlooked albums of 2024? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you thought was something that people looked past or didn't give enough attention to. I want to hear it and I want to have a conversation about it. My top 10 list drops on Tuesday. It'll be on my Instagram. That's the name of my Instagram if you want to check it out. I'm debating on whether or not to put a video out for it because I don't know. It's been a lot of work to even put this list together, and the video is probably going to be even more. So I don't know, if I get enough people liking this video, if I get enough views for this video, I'll probably go ahead and put it out. I'll make a video for it and put it out later on this week. You let me know. I'll go off the comments. If I get enough comments, we'll see. But that's all I got for you guys. I'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Thank you for joining the STEM Society.